And our top focus story, AIADMK chief Jayalalithaa finally walked out of the Bangalore Central Jail hours after Karnataka Special Court's order and a payment of surety amount of ₹1 crore. Jayalalithaa was released from prison. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister O. Selvam, several ministers, members of parliament and legislators were in attendance to receive her near the prison, after which she headed to the HAL airport to fly back to Chennai by a special chartered flight. Hundreds of AIADMK supporters have gathered outside the Chennai airport to receive her. Celebrations have already begun across the length and breadth of Tamil Nadu after her release from jail. Earlier, the release order by the special court came after a bond of ₹2 crore and surety on assets for more than ₹1 crore was furnished for Jayalalithaa. Copy of the Supreme Court order was also produced by her lawyers. Jayalalitha's close aides Sasikala and her relatives Sudhakaran and Elavasar, who also fulfilled similar conditions, also walked out of jail. Well, the latest that we are in fact getting in from ground zero is that former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Jayalalithaa, after spending 21 days in jail, has finally landed back in Chennai. And of course, there are celebrations all across Chennai. My colleague Shrisha Reddy filed this report from outside Jayalalitha's residence in Poise Garden.
Rain seems to have not dampened the spirits of these AIADMK partymen who have gathered right outside Jayalalitha's Poise Garden residence to welcome her. Grand gala welcome ceremony has been planned by the AIADMK partymen from the Chennai airport to the Poise Garden residence, at least about a 10 to 12 kilometer stretch where a human chain will be formed by these partymen, and this just looks right as a dramatic scene from a film where people have been waiting, including children who have been waiting to get a glimpse of the former Chief Minister who spent at least 21 days in the prison. But what one has to wait and see is a long legal battle ahead of Jayalalithaa. With camera person Daniel, Shrisha Reddy in Chennai for Headlines Today.
Well, those are visuals that we are in fact getting to you from Chennai. Protests have turned into celebrations through the length and breadth of Tamil Nadu. Former Chief Minister Jayalalithaa finally out on a conditional bail that has been given to her by the Apex Court. She has landed in Chennai, where a whole host of film stars, political personalities and of course hundreds of AIADMK cadre and Jayalalithaa supporters have in fact gathered. Supporters of Jayalalithaa will be making a human chain all the way from the Chennai airport to Jayalalitha's residence in Poise Garden. It appears to be early Diwali in Tamil Nadu after Jayalalithaa returns home. But remember, Jayalalithaa only returns home on conditional bail which has been granted to her on health grounds, which means that she cannot leave the premises of her residence. She is expected to be submitting a detailed report back to the Supreme Court, a 35,000-page report to the Supreme Court by the 18th of December. Those are visuals that we are in fact getting to you from Chennai. For 21 days while Jayalalithaa was in fact in jail, there were protests, there were hunger strikes, there were prayer meetings that were being held, and all of those have today turned into celebration. Well, as AIADMK party cadre and supporters are out in full force celebrating, and no doubt that bail that has been granted to Jayalalithaa by the Apex Court is a huge relief for her. But this is just one step in the long haul ahead. There is a legal battle, an impending legal battle that Jayalalithaa has to fight. The legal battle for her is far from over. The big question that we're asking at this point in time is, will the sympathy factor in fact work in Jayalalitha's favor, or is the electorate in 2014 in Tamil Nadu more aware and perhaps not willing to be led by a convicted, tainted leader? That really is the big question that the people of Tamil Nadu will in fact answer in the 2016 Assembly elections. Okay, those are live visuals, I'm being told, that we're getting to you from the Chennai airport. And as you can see, it has been raining profusely in Chennai, but the rain obviously hasn't been able to play dampener, as AIADMK party cadre and Jayalalithaa supporters are out in full force. The weather gods not being very kind, but the rain definitely not playing dampener. And people have lined up from the Chennai airport all the way to Poise Garden. There is a human chain that is being formed to welcome Jayalalithaa back home. And as my correspondents on the ground have been pointing out, it appears that it is early Diwali in Tamil Nadu after Jayalalitha's homecoming after 21 days of being in jail. Celebrations on the streets of Tamil Nadu. My colleague Pratibha Raman is joining me live from the Chennai airport. Pratibha, we understand that Jayalalithaa has in fact landed. Describe what you're seeing around you at this point in time.
That's right. There was great excitement as she was stepping out of the flight to get into her convoy. There was a floor as her vehicle just zipped by as she was waving through the crowd from inside the car through the window with a spotlight that was set up inside the car right on her face. She was sitting right in the front, waving with a smile on her face, all too bright. And as she smiled, everybody here cheered their way through. And now all of them gathering, and they were literally clinging onto the car, and the police had to barricade either sides of the lane for her to go by. That was the kind of excitement and enthusiasm here, with thousands of people speaking slogans and phrases of saying Amma Varga.
Right. Pratibha, also take us, through what are the kind of security arrangements that have been put in place outside Chennai airport, given the fact that hundreds of AIADMK party cadre and supporters of Jayalalithaa have gathered there. What are the kind of precautionary measures that the Chennai police has set in place?
Well, there were at least about 200 police personnel stationed at the airport, and right through the streets in different pockets there are police personnel who have been stationed in different pickets to monitor the security as well as law and order here. And
right.
Either side barricaded. In fact, the media line was huddled all together in a corner so that nobody really jumped in front of the vehicle. But still, there were some people who were trying to cross over the barricade and express their support as well as their joy in terms of seeing Jayalalithaa there. So all of them trying to gather in large forces to maintain law and order as well as some amount of peace as she zips by in her vehicle.
Well, absolutely, the Chennai police there, but obviously leaving nothing to chance. As anticipated, hundreds of supporters of Jayalalithaa have gathered outside the Chennai airport, making that human chain all the way from Chennai airport to Poise Garden. My colleague Shrisha Reddy is joining me live from Jayalalitha's residence at Poise Garden. Shrisha, Jayalalithaa has in fact landed in Chennai, obviously met by her enthused party cadre and hundreds of supporters. What exactly is planned for the rest of the day? We understand that there is a grand celebration that has been planned by the AIADMK leadership.
Well, exactly, Ruchika. People have gathered here, and when I can actually ask my camera person to panel and show you, this is a celebration, and people have been awaiting her arrival to her residence. She left her residence on the 27th of September and spent about 21 days in the Bangalore prison, and she will be arriving today. So this is the jubilation. People are in a very jubilated mood. People are very excited.
Absolutely.
Waiting. Of course, we don't know that Jayalalithaa has landed. She might be here at the residence any time from now. Every other party cadre have been trying to push the barricade and trying to stand right outside the place where the convoy will be passing through. My camera person is showing you the road that goes to Jayalalitha's residence. The people, of course, want to show their solidarity who have been Interestingly, not just Chennai, people from other districts have also travelled to Chennai today to show their support and of course to get a glimpse of the former Chief Minister who will be arriving to her residence after 21 days.
Well, absolutely, Shisha. Celebrations around you almost drowning out your own voice. We could barely hear you while they were chanting slogans behind you. But Shisha, you know, given the fact that this is just interim relief that has been given to Jayalalithaa, her battle is far from over. There is obviously, you know, that is not something that appears to be playing dampener at this point in time.
Well, absolutely no, Rishika. This is not playing a dampener at all. They see this as a first step ahead for Jayalalitha's victory. And you know, we did speak to a lot of party cadres here. They were telling us that false cases have been forged against Jayalalithaa, though they do know that she had to fight this case also legally. But one thing, she has come out of many other cases in the past. So she will come out clean is what the party cadres, the mood right outside Poets Garden. But interim or the relief, but Jayalalithaa coming out itself is a major victory, itself is a major celebration for the AIADMK party.
Well, absolutely, party cadre, they're almost vindicated. They are confident that Jayalalithaa will walk out of the legal mess that she is currently in. But even as Jayalalithaa makes her way back home after spending 21 days in jail, her legal battle is far from over. But celebrations in Chennai, celebrations across the length and breadth of Tamil Nadu. Srisha Reddy and Pratibha Raman getting us all the latest from the ground. Srisha, what is planned for the rest of the evening? Grand celebrations, and it's not just the AIADMK party cadre or Jayalalithaa supporters, but it's also members of parliament, all MLAs and the Chief Minister himself who have in fact made a beeline to welcome the former Chief Minister back home.
Well, interestingly, Rishika, nothing as such has been planned, but again, people will be here. Party cadres who came and who walked in to this residence, to this place at morning around 8 o'clock. We have been seeing scores and scores of people have been thronging to her residence, and people who were at the Chennai airport will also be coming. And now that they've landed at Chennai airport, the people, of course, and MLAs, MPs, including the President Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, also made a beeline to welcome Jayalalithaa, who spent about 21 days. But yes, though it's not a planned celebration, but yes, people will be celebrating. And even the rain seems to have very surprising that the mood here, with people holding umbrellas, with people holding placards, and people putting up banners across the state, across Chennai, from the stretch from the airport to her residence, is quite, from the party itself, is quite overwhelming for them, because it is seen as a major victory. In fact, Jayalalithaa returning to her fort, and ahead of the 2016 Assembly election, this will actually boost the morale of the party cadres.
Absolutely. In fact, Srisha, sorry to interrupt you there, but we're getting live visuals of Jayalalithaa, in fact, making her way back home. That vehicle on your screen is Jayalalitha's vehicle. She is making her way back home from the Chennai airport to her Poets Garden residence, and there is a human chain that has been made on either side of the road. AIADMK party cadre and Jayalalithaa supporters out in full force to welcome Jayalalithaa back home. Live visuals that we're getting to you at this point in time from Chennai. Also joining me live is Pratibha Raman, who is in fact standing by at the Chennai airport. Pratibha, it is raining in Chennai, but clearly weather is not playing dampener.
Absolutely not. In fact, what is interesting is that right since morning, at least at around 8 a.m., we saw all these people gathering here, slowly gathering in large numbers and standing there, braving the rain right through the day with their respective umbrellas, and no food, no water, absolutely nothing at all. Right from morning, all of them waiting to see that one glimpse of Jayalalithaa as she would wave her way right through the car, and that is what you see that is happening here at this moment. And each time they heard the sound of a flight, they would roar in delight. And finally, when she actually landed, the entire stretch of this airport terminal erupted in joy as they shouted slogans and praises of Jayalalithaa as she waved past them.
Well, it is nothing short of a celebration of vindication there on the streets of Chennai. But clearly, even though Jayalalithaa has spent 21 days in jail, she is returning home. This is only temporary relief. There is a long legal battle that the former Chief Minister still has to fight. but celebrations in full force out in Chennai. Also, Pratibha, we've been talking about the law and order situation. You said that there is a deployment of over 200 police personnel at the Chennai airport. Take us through what are the precautions that the Chennai police is taking, given the fact that there are hundreds of people who are in fact out on the streets at this point in time.
That's right. In fact, all these 200 police personnel had barricaded the entire stretch right from the main entrance up to the VIP terminal, entire stretch, manning through the crowd and trying to see that there is peace and order right through the way as she was driving past. In fact, even the media was all huddled up to a corner so that it doesn't pose any kind of disturbance in terms of the whole proceedings today, and all of them trying to maintain some amount of peace. These police personnel have ensured that the entire stretch right through the streets are also manned properly so that she could wade through the crowd. It's almost like a procession as she is going from the airport up to her residence, the human chain on either side welcoming her and shouting in delight as she goes past them.
Right, Pratibha Raman, Shisha Reddy, stay on with us. We just like to tell our viewers, those are live visuals that you are getting on your screens as former Chief Minister Jayalalithaa in fact makes her way back home from the Chennai airport to Poise Garden. That is Jayalalitha's entire cavalcade on your screens, and as Pratibha has been pointing out, it's almost like an entire procession taking place, and of course you can see either side of the road barricaded as AIADMK party cadre and supporters have in fact made a human chain on either side of the road welcoming Jayalalithaa as she makes her way back home after spending 21 days in jail. Well, celebrations on the streets of Chennai would make it seem that this is a celebration of vindication of Jayalalithaa, but clearly her legal battles are far from over. The Supreme Court has only granted her interim bail. She will have to submit 35,000-page document to the Supreme Court on December the 18th, and her return to public office will depend only on the reversal of her conviction from the Karnataka High Court. Our reporters have fanned out across Chennai at this point in time, bringing you live visuals. Those are different camera angles that you are seeing on your screens. Jayalalitha's cavalcade on your screens at this point in time as she makes her way back from the Chennai airport to her residence at Poise Garden. Well, Pratibha Raman is still live with us. Pratibha, we've been talking about how this is, a law and order nightmare for the Chennai police. But, these hundreds of supporters being out on the streets is perhaps no surprise. This is something that the state administration, the law and order machinery should be prepared for, because these kind of numbers and this celebration was anticipated the moment the Supreme Court announced that interim relief for Jayalalithaa.
In fact, one must remember that right through these 21 days as Jayalalithaa was in the central prison in Bangalore, there have been protests right through then. In fact, all these AIADMK leaders as well as the party cadre staging protests. It has been quite a disinterested government. In fact, to the extent that people did really think that questioning whether this is going to be continuing a status quo up to 2016 assembly polls, and right now there is an interim relief for the party cadre as well as the ministers who are here, because one must remember that this party is a single leader party and the people of Tamil Nadu are well aware of who is going to call the shots. So here is the leader who has arrived, whether going to be the CM or not. People know that there's going to be some
Absolutely.
amount of governance, and which is why they have perhaps voted for the AIADMK, and they're waiting to see the government restored back to normalcy.
Well, absolutely. Jayalalithaa is the undisputed single leader of the AIADMK, and as she makes her way back home from the Chennai airport to her Poise Garden residence, those are hundreds and thousands of supporters, AIADMK cadre, who have in fact come out on the streets in full force, welcoming their leader back home. Well, we leave you with those visuals of Jayalalitha's cavalcade as she makes her way back to her post garden residence. Celebrations across the length and breadth of Tamil Nadu. We'll be bringing you live reports. Our reporters have panned out. We'll be bringing you live reports on Jayalalitha's grand reception in Chennai. In just a bit, stay with us, slipping into a very short break.